Well, hello everyone, this is Jeff Clark with an unboxing video for you today. I recently received this package from Hong Kong. Actually, I got two models at the same time from Hong Kong. And we'll unbox them today. See here what we got. Always like the packaging material. It's interesting to see what's going on in Hong Kong in the newspaper. Let's check this out. JC Wings here. And this is a Scandinavian Airlines Airbus A330. This is a JC Wings model, JC2 SAS 2355. It's an Airbus A330-300 series. Nothing really on the back. And then the other side of the box. So this model has been sold out for quite a long time, and I think it was a 2014 model release, although I'm not specifically sure. I did get to fly on Scandinavian Airlines from Newark to Copenhagen and also to Oslo. And when I flew to Copenhagen from Newark, I flew on this exact aircraft, so it's nice to have one of the ones you've flown on. I try to collect what I fly, so it makes it kind of fun. And we're in the wooden stand era here, so we have our Scandinavian on the metal plate there, Airbus A330-300, scale 1/200. It's really nice to have the plate. That makes it much more interesting. JC Wings does a good job of that. Even with the new metal stands, they're still using the plate. Gemini hasn't been as good to keep up with that, so hopefully they'll get with the program soon and start giving us some plates, making it just a bit more interesting. And it has this blue protective layer on there to keep the model in good condition. Now this model was supposed to be new and unopened in the box. I'm guessing that it might have been out of the box, but as long as it's in new condition and I can do my unboxing video, I'm happy with that. Protective plastic on the bottom there too. And there she is. Now the A330 is a long-haul aircraft used by a large number of airlines to do those long routes. It's sort of a competitor to the 777 as really a workhorse of the long-haul fleet. It's a very comfortable aircraft to fly on. It's very smooth and quite pleasant. Most of them are running a 242 configuration in the economy section, so it seems fairly spacious. So this is, as I mentioned, a plane I've got to fly on. I've also got to fly on their SAS Star Alliance liveried A340-300, and I have a model of that too, as well as an unboxing. And then I'll also put a link in the video to my trip report on this particular aircraft. So let's start up here at the front. Now, Scandinavian Airlines is the flag carrier of Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, and here you see a simplified version of their flags here, as well as the SAS logo there. So Norway first, and then Sweden, and then Denmark, the respective flags. This is a Star Alliance member, so in conjunction with Lufthansa and also United Airlines, so I tend to fly United and those groups a lot, so they tend to have a little bit of overlap, but cool that they have this model. And nice details of the radome cover there. And we can see the windshield wipers there just about. And we have static ports here on the lower surface. And you can recognize the Airbus A330 by this clipped corner wing or window there in the cockpit. Although the Aleutians out of the Soviet or Russia do have those as well, but most of those are a fairly direct copy of the American and European manufacturers. So pitot tubes and then a static port there. This is an emergency escape door into the cockpit. And static port again. And Scandinavian Airlines, the Stockholm Design Board, were the ones that came up with this livery. So very subtle but very nice. It's very light gray color. Another good shot of the static ports there. And a couple of lights here on the side. And the L2 door. And the mechanism for the outside of that's really good. Nice detail there. What we're looking for in these models is to have them look like the real thing. Model looks good. I don't see any obvious damage or missing paint. Here's the L3 door. And I was in 49A, which is somewhere about halfway through the cockpit here on the particular flight that I was on this aircraft. And then there's the stylized flags again. Denmark, Sweden, or excuse me, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Our registration, LN-RKH, in the rear entry door. Nice bold SAS there on the tail. Horizontal stabilizer. APU housing. It's probably a strobe light, I'm guessing there, that circle. And then there's also an exhaust or an intake door that's probably this square one here, which draws fresh air in. And then this hole is the APU exhaust hole. Tail and the rudder look good. And it's a nice colorful livery, so this will look nice with my other models. There's two little circles there. That's a light to illuminate the tail. You want to make sure that people can see your livery. Let's look at the right side of the aircraft here. And if you can see just under the flag there, it does say Emund Viking. The Scandinavian do name their aircraft after Vikings, and they've faithfully recreated that here. LD3 loading door, and lots of very tiny information there that if you get close enough or with the right pair of glasses you can actually read what's on there. I was able to read some of the engine warnings on a model I unboxed recently. And here's the static ports again, and then another set of static ports here. Got the mechanism to operate the LD3 loading door. This is where all those cubes go into the bottom of the aircraft. Got the partial registration on the nose gear. 2 illumination lights. The R2 door. Trying to figure out what that little dot of green is, or it's supposed to be there. The other cargo unit loading door. And the bulky item loading area. Nice job with the mechanism there again. And the wording. JC Wings does a really nice job with their models. So does Gemini. I think JC Wings are kind of getting to the point they're just a little bit better now. There's our registration again. Nice blue tail. And the horizontal stabilizer. I don't see a lot of 3D effect on the mechanism there. There's usually sometimes there's a raised area that kind of shows you how that works. Let's have a look at the wings. Here's the do not walk outside of this area markings. This is actually a lash point. So if there's an individual who's up on top of the wing working on it, then they can tie off onto that to save themselves from falling off the wing. Bearing in mind the wing's probably 20 feet up in the air when the aircraft is at the stand. You can see the hinge mechanism for all the spoilers there. And just about make out the flaps and aileron. It's not very clear. We have this big winglet device. A red navigation light. We can see our slats here on the leading edge. This engine doesn't operate with a strake, which is the little fin sometimes you see on the aircraft engine. We'll blow some air across these and see if we can get them to spin here in a little bit. Nice markings inside the engine there. You can see the little red circle they have painted on the center of the fan. And this aircraft uses a thrust reverser that deploys from the side of the engine, these little doors. They've done a nice job of marking those. And they've used this nice red color on the wings, or excuse me, the engine cowling, with the Scandinavian on there as well. Really nice job with all the markings here. And on the inside of the wing. We have our main gear, and this is not removable on this model. It does tilt, it does roll. The nacelle is really nice, and so is the pylon. Flap track fairings. LN-RKH, our registration. No fuel dump valve. These are metal. Really nice work on all that detail on the engine. good. See that red circle there on the turn signal. On the underside of the aircraft we have our nose gear, and this does have the jewels for the landing light. You can see really good there. It's nice to have that little sparkle in there, makes it look much more realistic. We don't have a jewel for the landing light in the wing root here. Guess this is probably a pressure release valve. Got a VHF antenna, anti-collision beacon in between the NACA ducts. Numerous other areas that are marked there as well. Things like the APU power ground power connector, doors for the landing gear. There's numerous other antennas which are also down here on the belly of the aircraft. Here's our hole for the stand, the landing gear doors, VHF antenna, and I think this is probably a drain, this little thing that hangs down here just past that antenna. And I guess this little box could be a pressure release valve as well. Really nice subtle gray color there. Let's look at the top. Here's another VHF antenna, and a couple other antennas marked there as well. This has a little bit of a remnant there. I'm guessing this is the Wi-Fi because this aircraft does have Wi-Fi. I used it both ways. So these little lines above the door are a drip rail, so that when it rains and the doors open, it doesn't drip right into the fuselage interior compartment. Anti-collision beacon. Here's our ADF auto direction finder antennas. They are not raised up, whereas they would be in the real aircraft. VHF antenna. Probably an emergency locator transmitter antenna, this one. And there's usually a couple of other antennas like glide slope antenna on the tail. And our radome cover, it's got these nice lines on it. So underneath the cover here is the glide slope for the ILS system, as well as the glide slope equipment, and also the weather radar. Nice Scandinavian Airlines, it's real subtle. The nose gear does roll, it does turn, and that's metal as well, and it's non-removable. So we don't have the doors if you want to do in-flight configuration. I don't use any of those anyway, but it is nice to have them if you want them. See nice detail of the landing gear assembly there. Struts and the doors. Very cool. Now when I flew back, I was in a seat in this area, but I had an aisle seat, so I couldn't take any video. And then when I flew to Oslo, I was in about the second seat here by the window, and I took a trip report of that video as well. So very nice, cool. So let's set her down here. So just a bit of background on Scandinavian Airlines. They were founded in 1946 as a consortium to combine the operations of the Swedish, Norwegian, and Danish airlines that were currently working then, and then merged to form Scandinavian Airlines in 1951. They are one of the members of Star Alliance and also one of the founding members of Star Alliance. And they are the first airline to operate the polar route, which they did from Copenhagen to Los Angeles. And so that sort of started a trend of airlines flying the polar route to hit those longer destinations in the western part of the United States. They also flew the 747 in 1971 as well. Most of their fleet now is an Airbus fleet, but of course they did have some variety back then. They, as Scandinavian Airlines grew, they sort of mopped up smaller airlines and increased their network. And then in 1989, SAS acquired a stake in the parent company of Continental Airlines, which would eventually become United Airlines. They did that in a bid to start a global alliance. And then in 1997, Star Alliance was formed with Air Canada, Lufthansa, Thai International Airways, and United Airlines. So this livery is from 1998 and was designed by the Stockholm Design Lab. So it's pretty nice, interesting livery. So this is serial number 497. This is a A330-343X. This aircraft has business seats, 32 of them in the forward part of the aircraft, back to about here. Then it has 56 of the premium economy seats, which are about to here. And then it has 187 seats in the economy section. This aircraft has two Rolls-Royce Trent 772B-60s, and they produce 72,000 pounds of thrust apiece. That's about the same as the engine that's in the Dreamliner and a number of other similarly sized aircraft. The first flight was on September 20th, 2002, and it was delivered October 1st, 2002. The length is 208 feet, 10 inches. Wingspan, 197 feet, 10 inches. Height is 55 feet. This has the 242 seating and economy. Maximum takeoff weight is 533,000 pounds. There's a max fuel of 240,000 pounds, 120 tons. It just boggles my mind how much fuel these aircraft carry. So I flew this from Newark to Copenhagen, September 9th, 2017, as flight SK910. And it was a very nice flight. It was an overnight flight, so you land into wherever your destination is in Europe in the early morning, which we did, just right at sunrise. Scandinavian has a fleet size of 169 aircraft. 8 of those are these A330s. They also have 8 of the A340s, and I've flown on 2 of those as well. They have 123 destinations, and they're the flag carrier of Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, carrying in 2017 28.6 million passengers. That is a plenitude of people. They have a beautiful airport in Copenhagen. I really would recommend, if you have a chance to fly through there, their stores and everything are just really nice, great restaurants, and it's a really cool place. So let's check the spin on these engines. Try to get them in focus here. I don't know if they're going to spin. No. That's pretty solid. Yeah, no, I don't think these fan blades are designed to turn. So I gave them a little push with the nozzle there and it didn't move. So definitely don't want to push that. But a great model. Sold out. I paid a lot of money for this model to get it from Hong Kong, and also because it's sold out, and I've looked everywhere for this model and just haven't had any luck finding it. I had that one place in Hong Kong to get it from, but just had to convince myself I wanted to spend the money. So I basically talked myself into it one day when I was searching through eBay, and here it is. So really nice one to have in the collection. I'll put it with my A340 from Scandinavian Airlines as well, and they'll look really nice together. So let me know if you've got this model, or if you're going to try to get one as well. It's very cool with the red engines and the nice blue tail, and the winglets look really cool. Good addition to the collection. Put the stand on. See how she sits. Very high angle of attack. Let's tone it down a little bit. There. That looks better. Sits nice and straight on the stand. Looks good with that plate. Very cool. And thanks for watching.